Hello friends, welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So I am bringing y'all into the kitchen today while I make a soup. I woke up this morning, it was very cold, everything was frozen outside, and I thought, you know what, we're gonna have soup tonight for dinner. And so the soup that I'm making is cheddar broccoli soup, made from scratch, super easy, so good. But Mr. Smith is kind of the mindset that if a soup doesn't have meat in it, it's not a real soup. And so I've got some andouille sausage here. I ordered this through Azure Standard. It is the Thousand Hills brand, so it's made out of beef. So to boost this soup for Mr. Smith, I'm just going to take this andouille. Now you could use, of course, like smoked sausage. You can use some kielbasa, whatever you prefer to use. And I'm just going to kind of cut this into pieces, split them down the center, and then just cut it into like little half circles, little bite-sized pieces. And I'm going to just very simply brown this in my skillet over here. And then while that is cooking, I'll go ahead and prepare the soup. Like I said, this is super easy. I actually had fellowship the other day, and someone had made a soup that was kind of like a cheddar broccoli. And I'm like, ooh, this really makes me hungry for cheddar broccoli soup. And so today is just kind of the day to do that. It was cold, it barely got above freezing. And my friend Heather, who lives in Michigan, was laughing at me because I was telling her how cold it was here this morning. Because, you know, she lives in Michigan. And I know what cold is. I know it's not that cold down here. But relatively speaking, it's kind of cold for Arkansas. And it came on like really quick. I mean, after all, I grew up in Wisconsin. I've lived in Alaska. I know cold. But it kind of takes on another level when, you know, you've got animals out there to care for and all the water's frozen and all of that. So you've got to haul buckets of water, which is kind of a pain. But, you know, it is what it is. It's still chilly. All right, so we've got the andouille nice and cut up here. All right, I'm going to turn the stove on here. Get my skillet heating up. This is one of my Smithy cast iron skillets. Y'all, let me tell you, I love these skillets. I have a video where I talk all about these. And actually, I've got more than skillets. I've got a griddle. I've got, you know, just several things from Smithy cast iron. This is the best cast iron I've ever used. You know, you get a cast iron skillet, and usually you've got to spend years seasoning it and cooking with it just to get that smooth as silk cooking surface in there so that it's nice and non-stick. Y'all, this comes out of the box smooth as glass. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. I gave almost all of my other cast iron away to my son because I just love this Smithy stuff. You can get a link down below to check this stuff out. So I'm going to go ahead and toss in my sausage, and we'll let this start browning. And while that is cooking, I will gather together the rest of the ingredients that I need, and we'll get started making the soup itself. All right, I've got my soup pot here. We're going to go ahead and get that heating up. Down a little bit. There we go. I'm going to add in 3 tablespoons of butter. And then I'm going to need some diced red onion. Now, if you don't have red onions, you can just use any onions, honestly. It'll work just fine. I've got some frozen here. And this is more than what I need. I only need about half a cup. So I'm just going to kind of break some of this loose in here. I love keeping frozen diced onions in my freezer because it's just a time saver. But then also, you know, I like to buy organic onions, and a lot of times I'm not going to go through the whole bag before, honestly, they start getting mushy. So this way I've got my onions nice and freshly diced and then frozen, so I know they're all in good shape. Now most of my diced onions and diced peppers and all that I have in weck jars because I am trying to move away from using the plastic containers for food and such. But I have a couple left in there, and then everything else going forward is in the weck jars. Alright, so I'm just going to let these cook for a few minutes. Now because these are frozen onions, this is going to cook down very quickly. I really just have to thaw the onions out and get the butter melted and get everything nice and hot. Now if I'm using fresh onion, I would just cook this down until the onions are nice and tender. Alright, so my sausage has been cooking, so now I'm just going to scoop this all out with a slotted spoon. And I'm just going to put it in this dish here that is lined with some paper towels. Oh, this andouille smells so good. And of course, andouille's got a little bit of a kick to it, so it's going to add a bunch of flavor to this soup. Although, like I said, I love this soup just as it is. Okay. Alright, I'm just going to set that aside for now. Alright, so now I'm just going to sprinkle about 3 tablespoons of flour into the onions there. I'm going to grab my whisk, stir those together, get the flour all over there, all over the onions. I actually let these onions caramelize just a hair. You don't have to do that. You really just want your onions to be tender, but a little caramelization won't hurt at all. Alright, so now we're going to add in 2 cups of broth. Now on my website, the recipe calls for beef broth, but you can really use whatever broth you want. I've got a lot of chicken broth in my pantry, and so I'm just going to go ahead and use chicken broth, but you could also use just vegetable broth, or you know, you can use a stock. It's a very flexible recipe. Alright, now I'm also going to add in 2 cups of milk. And I'm going to add in 1 cup of half and half, just to make this extra rich. Of course, you can just use all milk if you want to. Okay, alright, give that a stir. And we're going to add in some salt and pepper. And you can use more or less, just according to taste. Alright, and so now we're just going to bring this up to a gentle boil so that the soup kind of thickens up a little bit from that flour and butter that we had in there. And of course, this being a milk base, you do want to make sure that you stir it well. Keep it stirring so that it doesn't scald or anything like that. Now I keep shredded cheese in my freezer, and so I've already got shredded cheese. You're going to want about 2 cups of sharp cheddar cheese. You can use a medium or a mild cheese, but I love to use sharp because you're going to get more of that cheesy flavor with less cheese. So it can be a little bit more economical if you use sharp cheddar in your recipes as opposed to a mild or a medium cheddar. Alright, so this has come up to a boil and thickened just a little bit. Now if you want your soup to be really thick, you can use more flour and butter. Generally for like a thicker soup, you would go with about a tablespoon per cup of liquid. So you could go up to 5 tablespoons of butter and 5 tablespoons of flour. It's totally up to you. Or you could also thicken it at the end with some cornstarch slurry. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in 2 cups, well, it might be a little heavier, about 2 cups of shredded cheddar. And again, I'm using a sharp cheddar cheese, and this is a white cheddar. You know, you can use whatever kind you have on hand. But like I said, I like to use the sharp cheddar because it gives it more of a cheesy flavor. We're just going to melt that in, and we're going to add in our broccoli. Now you want to use basically a head of broccoli. I have some frozen broccoli florets in my freezer, and I think I have more than a head's worth in here, but that's okay. We'll just have lots of broccoli in our cheddar broccoli soup. All right, I'm just going to dump that in, and the great thing about broccoli is it cooks so fast. So we're just stirring that in, and we're just going to let that cook for a couple minutes until the broccoli is cooked through. And that'll be it, y'all. It just takes a few minutes to do this. As you saw, it's a really, really easy soup to make. And, you know, if you cook the sausage at the same time as the soup, you know, you can have this done in 30 minutes or less. Super easy. A great weeknight supper on a busy day. All right, you guys, so the broccoli is cooked. We've got this nice, beautiful, creamy soup. It's just velvety and cheesy, and it's just so good. And you saw, it is super easy to make. All right, so let's go ahead and ladle up a bowl. Just look at that, it's so good. Add a little bit of sausage on top. Sprinkle some of that in there for some added flavor. And there we go. Look at that. Doesn't that just look absolutely delicious? Oh, so good. All right, y'all, so you can get this recipe on my website. The cheddar and broccoli recipe has been on there for absolutely years, and the only modification, of course, was I used the andouille sausage. You could also put in some shredded up chicken, like say from leftover rotisserie or something like that, for a cheddar chicken broccoli soup. So there's so many different ways that you can play around with this. I will put a link to this recipe in the video description down below. And be sure to browse my website where you can find over 800 recipes, plus articles and all sorts of goodies over there. And if you try any of my recipes over there and you love them, please leave me a 5-star rating on the recipe card. That really helps me out. So thank you for joining me here again at the homestead. I'm going to go enjoy my soup. God bless, and I'll talk to y'all next time.